Adjust. What's up, y'all? How you doing? All right, today we're going to do my guy, Andrew Wilson, explains basic biology to a male feminist. Let's get it. Let's go.
Someone doesn't have the internal reproductive organs, but has a vagina. Do you think they're a woman?
Of course. And I can even dive into that too. So the monolithic argument for gender is my favorite one. I wouldn't say that a man who was castrated, right, through no fault of his own, he was in a terrific accident and the genitals were ripped off. Of course, he's still a man, but here's why. Because people only develop around two pathways. That's it. There's no third sex. There's never going to be a third sex. Nobody alive has ever been able to impregnate themselves, not even chimeras.
Sure.
Because of that, there's only two reproductive pathways available, period. You're still a woman. Even if you don't have a uterus, your reproductive pathway was still developed to that of a woman, to that of a female.
But it didn't develop.
It did develop.
Well, that's, this is probably the one place, and I agree with Andrew on certain things, but this is the one place I'm probably going to agree with him all the way to the fullest. I've had so many conversations with people on the left about this, and it's just weasel conversations, man. Like, come on now, like, we know what a man and a woman is, and I don't believe males should be playing in female sports, but I also know that I have genitalia. I have a penis. Women have a vagina, right? We know this. We see this. It's a clear, like, we don't have to rewrite this part of history. Can we incorporate trans people in society in some way? Absolutely. But like, this is just simple, basic biology. Within that being said, I had a conversation with somebody about, I think they're called hermaphrodites. And here's the funny thing, like, I went deep into studying it. I think they're called hermaphrodites or something where, like, they have both reproductive organs. What you find is that in the majority of them, like, they both don't have the reproductive organs that can function properly. Like, if they have a penis, they don't have the things that connect to the penis to make the penis work. It's just there. The same thing with like if they have a uterus, it's impossible for them to have both, like, inside the body. But on the outside, yeah, you can see that, and like, that's where, like, I would think no matter what, biologically, it's just adformality. Formalia, I hope that's the word I'm trying to look for, but it's a deformity, like, period. Like, but let's see where this guy goes with it. I definitely probably going to agree with Andrew on this.
Well, a lot of these people who have this condition, complete androgen insensitivity syndrome, are those who have XY chromosomes and develop along a male pathway.
No, they develop that, even if you have XXY, right? Or there are actually men who just have XX.
That's true.
But their reproductive pathway can only be one of two. They can only develop along two reproductive pathways, period, regardless of chromosomes. And that's every human being who exists, even ones who have the nature of their, like, the nature of them is ambiguous, right? The ambiguity around genitalia and things like this are ambiguous. They still can only go down one phenotypical pathway, period. And genotypical.
Sure.
So if sex is doing all of the heavy lifting, I think that it is fine for us to point at man and woman and say a man, right, is someone who developed along the reproductive pathway for the production of small gametes, and woman for ova.
Sure.
That's required. They have a uterus.
Yeah,
they still develop down that pathway,
sure.
right?
And that absolutely is a biological definition. But we use those words in other ways, right?
No, we don't.
We don't. When we say well, then how come we can say a woman is manly and the sentence makes sense? Because we're
pointing to masculine or feminine virtues.
Agreed. So
virtues.
But we use those terms to refer to social phenomena, right?
Well, no, not always.
Woman.
Actually, most of the time.
Nah, Andrew, you're being a weasel. No. We do say a woman is being more masculine than she needs to be. We do say a man is being more feminine than he should be. We use those to describe how we see men and women. So sex does. You can't beat biological. Biological is what it is. Men are men, women are women. But do we socialize ourselves to a degree where we're actually seeming that sex is higher than the biological component? I think sometimes, yeah, we do. We do. Like, when we say shit like, you're being too masculine. Yeah, we get it. But we do socialize ourselves in that way. He's right. He does have a point there.
right, when you're doing that. There is times when this is done. I agree with you, where you're like, oh, that chick is, or you're nagging me like a woman.
Yeah.
Right?
How many people in the comments right now do you think are calling me a woman?
But the whole point of that, right, is to say that, like, you're weaker than me or this or that. You're still actually associating this with the sex. You're still associating it with the fact that that's the weaker sex, or that's the more dominant sex. Basically, all of those social interactions still revolve around that same idea.
Sure, I haven't denied that.
Yeah, I mean, so they're always pointing, in other words, all extremes for gender are always actually only pointing to two things, male, female. That's it. So if that's the case, when we're talking about social roles in society, men and women, male, female, are completely different. I mean, totally different across the board. We're humans, true. Right? But everything from our developmental pathway for reproduction, right, to our physical characteristics are completely different. Why in the world would you prescribe a society which didn't bank on the ideas of that and understand that if we are to push the very things which combine our physiology with the social status of people creates a better society? For instance, would you prescribe, like, if we're talking about the military, would you prescribe that we had more women in the military than men?
More women than men in the military? Largely probably not, because they don't meet the same standards. And
of course not.
I'm not denying that.
Yeah, of course not. So then a failing of courage of men, considering that they have to take on that role, that dominant, but they have to, right? No, they always have to.
I
want to make a side point, guys. Do you ever think it would be wrong if there were actually more women in the military? If we had more women trained in combat, do you think that, as good men, I think I'm talking to, and I don't care who goes to the I'm talking to the good men right now. Like, do you think that maybe that would actually make a society a little better for the women? And what I mean is, like, they have the ability to understand hand-to-hand combat, chokeholds, using a firearm the correct way, and they could defend themselves when good men aren't there to defend them from the bad men. Do you think that might be actually more effective in society? It can't always get off, because definitely men are stronger. But if women know certain pressure points, certain things that they could do to the body, I think it would be more effective. I know, like, most boxing gyms and MMA gyms that I've been in, when the man isn't as trained as the woman 9 times out of 10 can probably whoop him. Is there still a physical strength component that the man has? Absolutely. But if she knows pressure points, certain ways to, wreck his body, and I think that might be good. So I wonder, should we have more women in the military? What would that actually do to make society worse? It might make society actually kind of better to a degree. Especially with the development of women's brains. Women's brains develop a lot faster than men's. So they could have, better effective nature when it comes to unaliving people. Like, I don't know. I'm just thinking about it from that perspective. But y'all tell me in the comments what you think. I know. Interesting stuff.
No man is obligated to join the military, therefore it's not.
Yeah, they are. They can be drafted.
Okay, I don't agree with the draft.
It doesn't matter if you agree with it or not. They can descriptively be drafted, and women can't.
They absolutely can be drafted, but it doesn't happen as much as it did before. And it never happened. It hasn't happened since the 1970s, actually. And no feminist actually agrees with it.
And that's unjust.
That's unjust.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so
there shouldn't be a draft.
So what about police officers, police force? You can be deputized.
Yeah, I think that's
unjust too.
Yep.
You can be compelled into a posse. That's unjust.
Define. Sorry.
Compelled into a posse, just like you can be compelled into jury duty, right?
Sure, jury duty. I think it's a little bit different because you're not putting yourself in as much harm's way. I don't think that anyone should be conscripted into being a police officer or being that. Because of course there's
always dangers. There's always dangers associated with all of this, including jury duty, right?
And there's going to be a threshold, right? Okay.
Which is what?
We don't know exactly. Of course, I don't have to.
Wait, what's he laughing for? I'm confused. Like, do you want men to be drafted? Do you want to be able to just say that? Like, he's right. Men should not be drafted. Should men be forced into being deputies? Absolutely not. Like, what are you laughing for? Are you laughing because it's supposed to happen? Like, no. I don't understand this guy sometimes. Like, he tries to argue so much with every point that I don't think sometimes he realizes when somebody actually succeeds the argument to him. The guy is succeeding the argument. He's saying all these things shouldn't be relevant. Men shouldn't have to deal with the same things in society that women don't have to deal with. And if we're talking about full equality, women should be drafted. Women should be deputized. There should be all kinds of things like that happen to women as well. And he's definitely agreeing with that. He's not saying He's not okay. He's not fully saying that because I know somebody's gonna jackass is gonna jump in the comment section and be like, "Oh yeah, like, he's not saying that. Yeah, women are drafted." He doesn't believe there should be a draft at all. He doesn't believe men should be drafted at all. He believes in full equality. That's the point I'm trying to get at. So, kiss my ass. I just know it's coming. Like,
I don't have to point to an exact point to say that there is a difference between sitting on a jury duty and having a gun on you.
You do if you say that. You do if you say that the consistency of the ideology is that you don't believe in this thing because it can put you in harm's way. But this thing also puts you in harm's way.
Significant harm. What do you say?
Okay, so
fine. Okay, yeah. I'm not arguing there's not a threshold, Anthony.
But not just that.
I'm not arguing there's not a threshold.
Let's start with the Titanic. So should the men have given up the lifeboats to the women?
Men giving up the lifeboats to the women?
And the children?
If they were largely stronger, then yes. However, if there wait a second. If there was a disabled man, if there was a man who for some reason was weaker, then he should have gone with those people. So it's a strong versus weak, not necessarily along sex lines. There's a lot of overlap there, but it's not necessary.
Whoa. Okay. So.
Oh man.
So to make sure I got this right, though, you agree with me that the average man is many times stronger than the average woman.
Well, largely in terms of like upper body strength or something like that? Yes.
No, lower body too.
Lower body, yes. Because it would depend what you mean by strength, because, for example, like endurance and things of that nature, women in certain cases are stronger.
What did I say? Average is certain cases now?
Well, I think that women in general are better at endurance running.
No, they're not.
Born to it. I think in certain...
No.
Okay.
On average, they're not. They're not better at anything physical than men. Nothing. Literally nothing. When you say children? What's really funny
that's not true either. They have a higher they have a higher pain threshold than men do. That's why they can birth babies. We couldn't take that. So physical, yeah, there is something like I did hear endurance running is something else. I don't know. Look that shit up for me, guys. I'm not sure about that one, but I did hear endurance running is something women can do a lot better than men.
About this too is like when you say, well, what about lower body? It is true that proportionally women have stronger lower bodies than men, right? Mm-hmm. For women. Proportionally, that's true. Men still have much stronger lower bodies than women.
Of course,
it's just that proportional to the size of men.
I'm not arguing that women are physically stronger.
Yeah. So then, if that's the case, aren't you creating a bias in society by saying that the strong, right, should be necessarily like giving up their spots for the weak? When you agree with me that on average, men are going to be much stronger than on average women.
I don't think it's a bias. I think it's people who have certain advantages should use those advantages to help those who are less well off.
Okay. So how would that not disproportionately affect men?
Brought to you by...
Nothing he said I didn't disagree with. He's absolutely 100% right. Men should definitely help more if we're the physically stronger. How would it help men? Create a better society. Get women, make society better. He's right. I mean, men don't have to help. Like, they don't have to, but it would be good if we did. I think it would be good if we did, but technically Andrew is right. Men have no obligation to anything but themselves. That I don't disagree with. All right, I'm out, y'all. Peace.